So one of the most important things in life as a whole is your connections, people you know. As the saying goes, it's not who you know, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And it's those vital connections, especially connections with people who can take you to the next level or to several levels above where you are at the present time. That's what's going to determine your outcome in life. It's not always the smartest person, obviously. And that is so, so important in life in general, in success in life in general. I know in Nigeria, a lot of the big money people who are doing very well in the businesses are those who have connections with the government. That's just a fact of life. Now, and it applies not just in Nigeria, but I guess everywhere in the world. Nepotism and connections and man no man are all alive and well. But it's also applicable in health as well, in human health, especially where the brain is concerned. For the brain to be healthy and functional, the brain cells, the neurons, have to continually be firing and be connecting with other neurons. And it seems as if, not just it seems as if, it's actually a fact that when you're younger, you have a lot more connections between neurons. As you grow older, those connections begin to diminish. Now, the smarter, well, they're seeing some strong correlations between smartness and the overall number of connections between neurons, especially in the areas that have to do with cognition and memory and intellectual stimulation and creativity and so on and so forth. As a matter of fact, Albert Einstein, they said, had 4 times more connections between brain cells than the average human being did, which could potentially explain his genius. This is of especial importance when it comes to Alzheimer's disease and dementia. What Alzheimer's disease and dementia is like no other condition. First of all, there is no other species, no other animal, even the apes, the bonobos, the chimps, our closest relatives, even those do not have Alzheimer's disease. No other species has Alzheimer's disease, so it's unique in that way. But the other thing about Alzheimer's disease is that it targets the synapses. The synapses are what connect neurons with neurons. And like we've just said, it's very important that neurons continue to fire together and connect together. And it's constantly happening. Alzheimer's disease targets the synapses. That's the number one thing it targets. And once it targets the synapses, once the synapses begin to shut down or they're destroyed, the neurons themselves, by course, will begin to shut down themselves. So it's a problem of the synapses. And beyond that, it's actually the brain's programming system, the brain's, shall we say, self-preservation instinct that's kicking in gear that is causing this shutdown sequence. So it's not just like an enemy force, a rogue agent or an infection or whatever is causing the damage to the synapses. It's the brain itself. And this is what I want people to get. It's the brain itself that it's shutting those synapses down as a result of signals and messages from the atmosphere, from the environment that tell the brain that you got to shut down, otherwise this person is going to die. Now, the problem is that the brain continues to shut this thing down to the detriment of the person, and eventually the person dies. And that's why it's called a relentless, irreversible disease. But most people don't really realize that it's the brain that is doing the work of shutting itself down. Therefore, it's of extreme importance that we understand, one, the things that make the synapses grow healthy and strong, the things that make the neurons themselves grow healthy and strong. And we also have to understand how to reverse this program, this shutdown sequence, this suicide self-destruct program that the brain has set itself on. You've got to understand how to reverse that, because until you understand how to reverse that and until you do that, there's no hope. There's not a single chance you're going to be able to get out of Alzheimer's disease. And that's why it's killing so many people in the world today. So, and it's unfortunate that our experts and neurologists are not pointing this out. They're just focused on that little amyloid plaque, those tau tangles, and they're focused on removing those tau tangles. Even though research and studies have shown that even removing of those tau tangles, those amyloid plaques, is not going to do much to change the course of the treatment. So it has to do with the synapses, and it has to do with the brain itself shutting down, pulling back on those synapses. That's what Alzheimer's disease is all about.